It is the hottest week of July. The thermometer hanging in the kitchen says 86 degrees. The sun has been sitting over the back side of the house since lunchtime. The windows are open, the fan is running, and somehow the room still feels like somebody is baking bread inside it. Supper is 20 minutes away. Nobody wants to sit in that kitchen. Not me, not my wife, not the children, not even the dog. The dog has already disappeared under the porch. Now, most people would do what we've been trained to do, turn the thermostat lower, complain about the electric bill later, and hope the air conditioner figures it out. My father-in-law had a different idea. He walked over to the icebox, pulled out 2 frozen bottles, and headed toward the fan. The first time I saw him do this was more than 30 years ago. I remember watching him and thinking, there is absolutely no way this is going to work. I didn't say it out loud. I was still smart enough not to argue with my father-in-law in his own kitchen, but I was thinking it. He strapped the frozen bottles behind the fan, turned it on, and went back to setting the table like nothing special had happened. About 30 minutes later, the thermometer dropped nearly 10 degrees. More importantly, the room felt comfortable again. People stopped complaining. The dog came back, and supper happened without everybody looking like they had just finished hay baling. I've watched that same trick work for decades. Not every day, not in every situation, but on those miserable July afternoons when one room gets too hot, it works surprisingly well. Now, before we go any further, let me tell you what this is and what it is not. This is not central air conditioning. This is not a miracle. This is not going to cool your entire house. What it does is cool the area where people are actually sitting, and sometimes that is all you need. One of the biggest lessons I learned from my Amish family is that they rarely try to solve a bigger problem than necessary. Most people try to cool an entire house. My father-in-law tries to cool the room where people are sitting. That's a very different approach, and it starts with understanding something simple. Cold absorbs heat. That's it. That's the whole secret. When warm air passes over something frozen, heat moves out of the air and into the frozen object. The air becomes cooler. The frozen object becomes warmer. Physics handles the rest. The fan simply speeds up the process. It keeps moving warm air across the frozen surface. That creates a steady stream of cooler air. Nothing magical, just practical. Now here's where my father-in-law added his own twist. Salt. Not much. About 1/4 cup per bottle. Just enough. The first time I saw him add salt to water before freezing it, I thought he had finally reached the age where old farmers start experimenting with strange ideas. Turns out he knew exactly what he was doing. Salt changes how water freezes and melts. The bottles stay colder longer, which means the cooling effect lasts longer. Again, nothing complicated, just another small thing passed down through experience. The kind of thing nobody writes down because everybody in the family already knows it, until one generation forgets. Then suddenly it becomes a lost secret. Now let's build the thing. You need a fan, 2 large plastic bottles, water, salt, a couple zip ties, and a towel. That's it. Fill the bottles almost to the top. Leave a little room for expansion. Add about 1/4 cup of salt to each bottle. Shake them up. Freeze them overnight. The next day, take the bottles out and secure them behind the fan. Not in front. Behind. Place a towel underneath because condensation is going to happen. Turn the fan on. Then go do something useful for 20 or 30 minutes. When you come back, you'll notice the difference. Not Arctic cold. Not winter in January. Just comfortable. And comfortable is all we're trying to achieve. That word matters. Comfortable. My father-in-law never chased perfection. He chased comfort. There is a lesson in that. Modern life often convinces us every problem requires the biggest solution available. Bigger machine, bigger bill,
bigger purchase. My Amish family taught me something different. Sometimes the answer is not bigger. Sometimes the answer is smarter.
Now, I want to be honest about the limits. If your house is 98 degrees inside, this is not going to save you. If you're trying to cool 3,000 square feet, this is not the tool. If you're expecting central air performance, you're going to be disappointed. But if you have a hot kitchen, a warm bedroom, a small office, a workshop, a sewing room, a corner of the house that gets unbearable in the afternoon, this works remarkably well. And it works for almost nothing. That is why I like it. Not because it is impressive, because it is practical. Practical things survive. My father-in-law used this trick through heat waves. My wife remembers it from childhood. My children grew up seeing it, and now I'm telling you about it not because it's revolutionary, because it works. The older I get, the more I realize most useful knowledge is not complicated. It's just ignored. People love complicated answers. Complicated answers sound important. Simple answers sound ordinary. But ordinary things done consistently often beat complicated things people never use. That little fan, those 2 frozen bottles, a handful of salt. That combination has probably made more summer suppers comfortable in my family than any machine we've ever owned. And that's worth remembering.
Now I'm curious about something. What room gets hottest in your house during summer?
The kitchen, the upstairs bedroom, the garage workshop, the home office. Let me know in the comments. And if your parents or grandparents had their own hot weather tricks, I would genuinely love to hear them. Because some of the best ideas don't come from books. They come from people who spent a lifetime paying attention. And those lessons are too valuable to lose.